I was saying Amy's from Lynn County. She's
Mhm.
from the city of Hiawatha, which is like a suburb of Cedar Rapids, I believe.
Just north,
And
yep, just north of Cedar Rapids here. Mhm.
just north. Okay.
Yep.
And you're seeking your second term
Third term.
third term. Oh, I am
Yep.
sorry.
That's okay.
Thank you for correcting me on that. Third term. So you're an old timer now.
Yeah, I am technically, after Dick Olson stepped down from the council, I am the longest current serving member of the city council. Currently.
Great.
I know
Well,
I know historically there have been some that have done like 20, 30 years, but yeah, but
well, you're
right
a
now,
seasoned veteran now.
yeah.
Well, I would like to welcome you, and we're going to give you 5 minutes to speak.
Mhm.
Then Patrick's going to take the probably 9 minutes after that and ask you 2 or 3 questions, whatever time permits, and maybe give you time for a follow-up there at the end. So without further ado, Amy, the floor is yours for the next 5 minutes.
All right, excellent. Well, again, to introduce myself, Aime Wichtendahl, member of the Hiawatha City Council. Been pleased to serve these past 8 years, and I can't believe 8 years has already gone by. Why I'm running for re-election? I'm running for re-election because I do genuinely believe that the American dream starts here in Hiawatha, because this is a town, this is a place where all of my dreams have certainly come true, and I want to be able to enable it for our residents to, live the American dream and have every opportunity and chance to succeed that I've been given. To do that, I think, it means, I think housing affordability is probably the most preeminent issue that we face. Certainly, we've made some headway on that, both, constructing new senior housing, new multifamily apartments, the first multifamily units in 25 years, in fact. And with the development of Tower Terrace Road and then that interchange, that'll give us the ability to grow so much more of our housing stock. To be able to enable people to start businesses, local businesses if they want to. That was my slogan in 2015, to stand with local businesses. And definitely I would want to be able to, and I know so much of this depends on interest rates, but hopefully be able to see progress in our village center and our downtown and have more live work spaces, and continue to pick up the pieces from the derecho and try to implement development in environmentally green and sustainable ways where we can do so. I know the derecho left us without a lot of trees, but we're replanting, and to be able to regrow our canopy and to have shade for people, especially in these hot dog days of summer. That's been, that was a policy that we spearheaded here, and hopefully within the coming years, we'll continue to see the fruits of that growth. And I will always continue to fight for civil rights in Iowa. I know the legislature doesn't give us a lot of avenues of opportunity for things. And while I'm a pretty big home rule evangelist, I know sometimes it is a little bit of a thing to get people to take that leap with me. But when Des Moines overreaches, like, I'll be there to do anything I can locally to protect against that overreach. So that's kind of it in a nutshell.
Well, thank you very much, Amy. We're going to give the floor to Patrick. I'll ask again 2 or 3 questions, and maybe you can finish up with some additional comments towards the end then. So Patrick, the floor is yours.
Okay, thanks, Mitch. And again, Amy, thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
And so we received your questionnaire and your responses, and the committee reviewed them. So we have some questions, clarifying questions mostly. So on question 2, we asked you if you would support hiring outside contractors to complete work currently being done by city employees as a cost-cutting measure. You indicated that you would oppose it, and then said that the only time you would contract is if you could not hire a candidate directly. So could you please give us examples of when you needed to hire outside contractors, or if you haven't, when you would envision that you might have to?
When there was actually a recent example on that, because we were going to hire internally for a part-time building inspector, to kind of alleviate both, because currently building inspections are kind of done as a kind of a it's shared the function between both community development and the fire department in Hiawatha. And so being able to have a part-time building inspector would take that weight and additional responsibility off some of those departments to free them up for other things they're currently committed to. We did certainly go out and try to hire for it, but we could not get candidates to apply. I think part of the problem was the part-time nature of the role. Because we're a growing city, we don't have the need for a full-time building inspector. Like I said, the needs were really for a part-time inspector to go ahead and be able to cover those roles. And so I know we looked at potentially contracting. I don't know if we were doing like a 28E agreement working with other municipalities to find staff, but it was one of those cases where it's just like, yes, we want to bring in people, we want to hire people, but we can't find people. And I mean, so in a way, it's kind of leaving that door open just to ensure that, like, if we can't find the people that we need to do the roles, that we have that avenue to still be able to provide the government services that the citizens require. So yes, like I said, for me, it's like I believe hiring first and maintaining our city staff, like just, you've seen in other states where, they try to privatize so many government services, whether it be for library, fire departments, God forbid the police department, but, community development and things like that. And I think that's the wrong element to do it, because at the end of the day, these are government services that belong to the people. And I think when you privatize a lot of these services, you put profit over people, and that's not what our government should ever stand for.
Okay, thank you.
Uh-huh.
So question 5 asks what can be done to strengthen the relationship between local governments and public schools. In your answer, you indicated that areas like a well-funded library, youth sports leagues, and other recreational programming might be the way to go. Can you please elaborate on your vision for getting city government and the school board to collaborate on these areas?
Oh, at least locally, I know a lot of the school boards, because we in Hiawatha, especially because we don't have our own school board. It's all part of the Cedar Rapids Metro School Board. And so they definitely take the kind of lead on this. We've tried collaborating on, because when we built Turtle Creek Park, the goal was that we would have the park development, and then the second half of the land that we were going to purchase would go to the new school. And so a lot of it, and that ultimately we built our park part of it, but the plan for new schools and putting up new things like that has been constantly evolving with the Cedar Rapids school board. So I know a lot of it's just making ourselves available when it comes down to it, but I think the main thing kind of comes into, and I think a lot of it comes down to areas where the school boards, can't provide it, like, especially for having things like, either like lunches, recreational activities, programming, like over the summer when you don't have a lot of schools in session, so that students who are normally taking advantage of school programs during the school year can have something to do in the summer and off years and even on weekends and things like that. And we do, I know like the public library works pretty closely with school boards, because I think after kids hit third grade, they get to come into the library, register for their own library card, get shown how to like use the library and what all the different services are, and and things like that. So I think a lot of it is just trying to find the services that the school board don't offer and provide that to them. I think is probably what we can do, at least in a small community like Hiawatha.
Okay, thank you. So question 8 asked you what local governments can do to encourage diverse communities to participate in the voting process. So you answered that it should be a multifaceted approach, like providing voter registration forms at City Hall and at public libraries, and also be the location for satellite voting stations. We felt that this answer addressed encouraging voting in general, but not specifically by diverse communities. So could you please now tell us a little bit about how you would address this for diverse communities?
I mean, a lot of it comes down to meeting people where they're at. And like I said, we have somewhat limited resources within the city. We always do. I know we always try to do our best to reach out to like minority communities or underrepresented communities, at least in terms of like, especially with like housing rehabilitation, like we literally went door knocking, door to door on that. As far as like voter engagement, I mean, I tried I tried when I first got elected to put like prime information about the presidential Iowa caucuses in the newsletter, and they just would not go for it. I was like, there's like, listen, we could just put where the locations are at. You don't have to go and tell but no, they thought that was too partisan. So like some of that, like, it's just a lot of trying to have things where people are to be able to encourage that. At the end of the day, it's people's fundamental rights to be able to go ahead and see if they can, would come out to vote. We can only encourage so much. And, like, so with the resources that we have, we do try to reach all of our 7,000 people there in the community. But, I don't know. Like I said, I kind of scratch my head at that one a little bit, just because like I'm all for trying to engage voters and trying to make the resources available. And we'll work with any, what do I want to say? Because let me think back on that one. Because I do want to say that we did work with one kind of like I afraid they were like a nonprofit, and their goal was to try to encourage voter turnout and voter participation. And I believe we did, if memory serves, because this has been, I want to say like 6+ years ago, maybe, because it was either for the 2016 or 2018 elections. And, we did provide them with additional, like some basic funding support because they were a nonprofit to increase voter participation. Ultimately, what we found out though, is that the group that we partnered with,
Amy, we have 1 minute remaining.
Okay. So yeah, I don't know how to really answer that question. I'm always open to new suggestions and new things like that. Like, so we've tried some things, but maybe weren't the most successful, but I'm always open to things. Like I said, I may not always have all the answers on these.
Amy, I would like to thank you very much for joining us tonight.
Sure.
Our members will be voting next week, starting Tuesday evening at 7 up until the following day at 7 o'clock Wednesday of next week at 7. And we'll be posting these interviews on our website on Saturday.
Okay.
So our members can view them between Saturday and up to Wednesday. And we will let you know by Thursday morning of next week if you have our endorsement or not. And of course, if you do, we'll put that on our Facebook and our website. We'll also put out a press release. Also there, of course, in the Linn County area too. And the most important thing is you get a check the following week from us.
Nice.
So I know what everyone's waiting for. But again, thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it, Amy.
You're more than welcome. Thank you so much for your consideration.
Okay, take care now. Have a nice evening.
You too. Bye-bye.